In this video, I'm going to share some of the common reasons why you might be having trouble getting pregnant and the signs to watch out for if you think that you're having fertility issues. If you're new here, welcome to Fertility TV. I'm Dr. Sklar, also known as the fertility expert. And I am here to help you understand your fertility and take the next steps towards starting your family. Over the last 21 years that I've been a natural fertility expert, I've helped many women just like you, and I'm excited to share what I've learned with all of you. I want you to stick around because by the end of this video, you'll know what to look out for and what you can do to move forward on your journey to get pregnant. Before we get started with today's episode, I want to wish you all a happy and fertile 2025. And I want you to know that I created this free guide called the Fertility Foods Guide, where you can get fertility approved shopping list and some recipes that can help you get started. I'll leave the link in the description below so that you can download it for free. Now let's jump into it. So as you start to take inventory of your health, how you feel, how your body feels, often things that I hear from many of the women that we support in the Hope program is that you feel fatigued, you feel tired, you feel exhausted, you don't wake up refreshed, you don't have the energy to make it through the day, that your weight has started to change, and usually when someone says that, it means it's going up a bit, and other conditions that might impact your fertility are that you know or been diagnosed with endometriosis or fibroids. These are all things that need to be addressed. This is your body talking to you, telling you that something's wrong and that these things need to be addressed in some fashion. The number one thing that this tells me is that there is inflammation. Inflammation comes from many sources and many ways, but these things, when I hear chronic fatigue and exhaustion, weight gain, endometriosis, fibroids, to me, this starts to show a sign that your body is inflamed in some way, and we need to figure out the main source of why that's happening. This could be happening for many, many reasons. One of the main reasons that I often see, especially for the weight gain and the fatigue, is actually irregular blood sugar. Often that's higher more specifically, and so can be pre-diabetic or diabetic or have metabolic issues. Metabolic syndrome is what it's called. And this is an inflammatory response, often causing us to have fatigue, weight gain. Endometriosis is also an inflammatory response, okay, and causing inflammation in the endometrium. So we want to make sure that we're addressing the inflammation in the body. I've talked about, you're going to hear me say this often, is a lot of this has to do with our daily habits, our lifestyle, right? Are we exercising enough? Are we eating well? Are we taking care of our bodies, right? So this is super important for you. I want to tell you that over the last many years or so, I had gotten away from exercising regularly, even though I loved to do it. And in return, my body was talking to me. My body was telling me that it didn't feel good. I was having more aches and pains. And yes, we could attribute just to being older. Yes, I'm older. And so I could just say, yes, this is from being older. The reality is I wasn't 100% taking care of myself, right? I had done, my diet was great. I always prioritized sleep. I tried to make sure that I prioritized stress management. The one thing I didn't really work in enough was regular exercise. So last year in 2024, I made that a priority for myself. And it changed everything for me. My aches and pains went away. Headaches that I would have periodically went away. I felt so much better, so much more energy. I slept better, even though I thought I was already sleeping better. So for each one of us, we have to find what that thing is. Even though I was doing great in many, many areas, there was one area I wasn't doing great in, and I needed to clean that up. Same thing could be happening for all of you, which can help to reduce the inflammation in the body overall, increase your overall health, and improve your fertility. So let's focus on that in 2025. First thing I want to talk about is irregular periods or menstrual cycles or missed periods. So this is something that we see all the time in the Hope Fertility program and something that's very common with women, unfortunately. The most important thing that we want, and I've talked about this many times, is to have a regular menstrual cycle. That means that you are ovulating roughly around the same time within a couple of days every cycle, every month, and that you're menstruating around the same time again within a couple of days every cycle. If you're having irregularities where your ovulation shifts by many, many days or weeks, and so your period is the same, right? Might be shifting for many, many days or weeks, or even missed periods. for multiple months, this could be an issue and this could be a sign that your body's telling you that something's wrong with your fertility. Hopefully, if that's happening already to you, that you've already started to take action and recognize that there's something that needs to be done, because this is not normal, even if you've been told it's okay, because it's not okay. The most common reasons why something like this might happen is, one, polycystic ovarian syndrome, so PCOS. You may have heard about this. It's the most common endocrine disorder for women, and we support this very, very regularly. About 1/3 of all women in my Hope Fertility program have PCOS or some variation of PCOS. And I think that's really important to recognize that there are variations, so that you don't have to have the standard PCOS-like symptoms to have PCOS or PCO. And I've talked about this in many, many other videos. If you want to dive deeper into that, you can check those out. Other reasons why you might have a irregular cycle or missed periods is some sort of hormonal imbalance. Maybe your progesterone is too low. Maybe your estrogen is off. Maybe other hormones are not functioning properly, like your thyroid hormones. Very common to see this impact menstrual cycles. So all of those things need to be checked. They do impact ovulation, which obviously impacts menstrual cycles. The first and most important thing to do for all of you is to have your labs tested, have your hormones tested. So making sure that you know what your hormones are telling you, all your thyroid hormones, your fertility hormones. Again, I've discussed this before, but LH, FSH, estradiol, progesterone, DHEA, testosterone, prolactin. We want to understand all of these things. By the way, I didn't mention it before, but as I mentioned the word prolactin is also a reason why you might have irregular cycles, irregular ovulation, or missed periods. It's a hormone that's produced for breastfeeding, which obviously if you're trying to get pregnant, you don't need breast milk. So that is something that needs to be checked. So those are absolutely a must to be tested. And then once you understand which hormones are off, then we can create a plan for addressing those things. And that's how we move forward to address these issues, right? But the first step is to get tested. After that, everything else will come. And that's where all the lifestyle and dietary factors and supplements and so forth kind of get filtered in. The next thing that we need to focus on is age. And I don't say this because we can do anything but our age, but I say this because of how age potentially impacts our fertility and our health. Now, you all have heard me, and I haven't changed my tune. You have all heard me talk about how age doesn't matter, that it doesn't matter to me, that I'm not worried about it. It doesn't mean that we don't factor that into the bigger picture, right? So we do know that as we age, that the quality and quantity of our eggs and ovarian function starts to decline, and it's definitely something that we need to consider. But with all of that, you've also heard me say that the only thing that we can't change is our age, how long we've been on this earth. So that hasn't changed. But what can we change? What can we improve? We can improve egg quality, okay? We can improve cellular health and cellular function and ovarian health and ovarian function. So that is where we need to focus our attention. Yes, all of those things as we age for all humans starts to decline in function, right? So we need to focus our energies on what we can do to improve those things. Hands down, some of the most important things that you can be doing are all the lifestyle factors that I've mentioned many times before. Taking care of yourself, making sure you're getting plenty of good restful sleep, making sure that you are eating good quality food, making sure that you're exercising regularly, making sure that you are managing your stress. These are all things that need to be addressed when we are talking about egg quality, egg quantity, ovarian health, cellular health, right? So I want to make sure that you're focusing on all of those things. It's easy to kind of let some of those things slip over time. I want you to just focus on taking baby steps and being better today than you were yesterday and better tomorrow than you were today. And just really making incremental steps. It's not about being perfect. It's about progress. And each day we could do a little bit better, right? So don't beat yourself up for maybe not being great during the holidays or not always being perfect. Don't worry about that. Let's move forward and let's make sure that you do everything you can each day. One thing that you can start to take if you want to take something as in a supplement is CoQ10. CoQ10 works well and has great research to support cellular health, mitochondrial function, egg quality, ovarian health. So I do think you can all add that into your regimen if you haven't already done so. The next thing I want to talk about is actually the other side of the equation, the partner side, the male factor side of fertility. 50% of all fertility issues are male factor related, and that is not addressed enough, and more specifically is not looked at enough, or soon enough, I should say. So I want to remind all of you that sperm quality and sperm health is utmost importance, and I want to make sure first and foremost that your partners get tested. In this day and age, there should be no excuse for having your partners tested. They shouldn't give you pushback. But I still see it all the time and hear about it all the time. My partner doesn't want to get tested. He thinks he's just fine. My answer is prove it to me. Prove it to me. Show me you're just fine. 50% of all fertility issues are male factor related, which means we need to get you tested. I'd rather get you tested than not and find out sooner rather than later that there's an issue, so that we can address it. And if there's not, then no more testing needs to be done. We can move on, right? So, number one for your partners is get tested. Number two is improve your lifestyle. Lifestyle, dietary changes are not just for the females in the relationship, it's for everybody. So make sure you clean up things together. It's easier as a household when you are all doing the same thing together. You're both cleaning up your diet. You're both exercising regularly. You're sleeping at the right times. You're cleaning up your lifestyle. That is easier than doing it individually. It also is nice because it creates another bond and creates a different part of your relationship. You're both in this together trying to move forward and have a family and have children. So I want to make sure that piece gets tested. If your partner tells you, I've had children in the past, I'm fine, my answer is, how many years ago? If he was tested many years ago, sperm change and they change quickly. They're volatile and sensitive. Let's just double check again. So let's just not leave any stone unturned, okay? Let's make sure that your partners get tested. Make that one of your New Year's resolutions. So when members of my Hope Fertility coaching program, and if you don't know anything about it and want to learn more, that link is down below so for you to check out. But members of my program, every time they start in my program, the number one thing we start to have them do is reset their digestive system, reset their digestive function. Have them clean up their diet, number one, okay? And then we start to check for digestive issues. Why do I do that? Digestive issues are the number one issue I see with all people across the board. I also know that if your digestive system is not functioning properly, it will impact over time all your other systems. Your fertility, your endocrine system, your hormones are no different, okay? And that if we clean that up, we'll make significant differences. What are some signs that you might be having some sort of digestive issues? IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, meaning some irregularity with your bowel movements and some digestive pain, bloating, weight gain, abdominal pain. These are all some telltale signs. The other thing is it might run in your family. You might have had this for a long time. So I like to refer to that as unaddressed GI issues, unaddressed digestive issues. Why do I refer to it that way? It's because you know you've had it your whole life. And so it's just become part of you. And so you're like, it's not a big deal. This is just who I am. I just have digestive issues, so I just move on. It doesn't mean that those things can't be addressed and improved in some fashion. I also often hear from my Hope Coaching members is that the question of, I came to you for fertility issues. Why am I spending so much time focusing on my digestion? That's because I often see that in about 50% of the members in my program, that once we clean up your digestive issues, once we get your digestive system functioning better and you're feeling better, that you get pregnant. That's right. So I know that there's a direct correlation between the two, and I want to make sure we address those up front. I also know that addressing digestive issues takes time, which is why I want to address it and start addressing it in the beginning of the process and not later on. These just take time to see change, and so we need to give it that time. So if you have digestive issues, that should be the number one thing that you focus on improving in 2025. All the other things will come from there. All right? Let's make sure we do that. All right. So if you want to keep learning about your fertility, keep watching this topic, which is called Little Changes You Can Do to Get Pregnant Now. That's a video I created before, and I want you to check it out. That link is down below. And if you want my help and want me as your fertility coach, remember to apply to qualify for the Hope Fertility Coaching Program using the link in the description below as well. And until the next video, stay fertile.